Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the action-adventure, fantasy film, Daybreakers. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We upload multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. The majority of the world's population is transformed into immortal vampires in 2019 due to a pandemic brought on by an infected bat. The decrease in human population causes a serious blood scarcity for vampires, who thereafter deteriorate into crazy subsiders that resemble bats. The majority of people are trapped and harvested in lab farms while researchers work on a synthetic replacement. The few free humans move during the day while concealing in open areas because sunlight is lethal to vampires. Underground corridors and UV-filtered cars have been developed for safe transportation. As of 2019, Edward Dalton serves as the chief hematologist for Bromley Marks, the largest provider of human blood in the United States. The blood replacement Edward and his co-worker Christopher Caruso are creating. After an unsuccessful experiment, Dalton is returning home when he inadvertently runs another car off the road. Dalton hides the people from the authorities after learning that they are inside. Their boss, Audrey, discovers Edward's name and profession from his ID badge before they split ways. Edward is taken aback when his estranged brother Frankie visits him at home. A long-running quarrel between Edward and Frankie is rekindled by Frankie's gift of a vial of pure human blood. Edward prefers to drink animal blood instead than human blood, while Frankie relishes his vampire status. The brothers are forced to kill a subsider, a gardener from Edward's neighborhood, after it breaks into the home. The following morning, Audrey pays a visit to Edward and gives him meeting instructions. There, a human who was once a vampire named Lionel Elvis Cormack is introduced to Edward. Before Cormack has a chance to explain his change of heart, a military team with Frankie, who followed Edward and is out to get Cormack and Audrey, arrives. Frankie is knocked out by Audrey, and the trio flees. When he was thrown from his sunproof car in a car accident, Cormack says, he was cured of being a vampire. Elvis burned up in the sunlight but eventually fell into a river after being exposed to the sun for just long enough to make him human again. Edward offers to work with Cormack to discover a means to duplicate the treatment and stop the genocide of humans. That evening, Edward meets additional people at a vineyard where he also encounters Senator Wes Turner, a vampire who is secretly assisting the colony in finding a cure. Turner and the approaching human convoy are forced to run as a result of vampire soldiers tracking the position of the vineyard and capturing the approaching human convoy. Together, Audrey, Cormack, and Edward reenact the moment when Cormack changed back into a human, curing Edward of his vampire status. Later, they discover Turner and every person dead. One of the captured people, Allison Bromley, turns out to be the daughter of Charles Bromley, CEO of Bromley Marks, who declined to turn into a vampire like her father. Although Allison has been force transformed into a vampire by Charles' order of Frankie, she refuses to consume human blood. Allison and other victims are killed by sunlight burns after degenerating into a subsider. After seeing Allison die, Frankie goes in search of his brother. Martial law is enacted by the military to manage the population of subsiders. Invading Christopher's home, Edward, Cormack, and Audrey plead with him to help spread the cure. Having finally found a reliable blood substitute and resenting Edward's dominance, Christopher calls in the troops, who take Audrey as Cormack and Edward flee. Frankie discovers them and offers to help, but his instincts lead him to bite Cormack. However, after consuming his blood, Frankie becomes human, proving that the sunshine cure is not essential. Edward gives himself in to Charles in an effort to save Audrey, and Charles gloats about Bromley Mark's new monopoly on the blood replacement because using the blood substitute to treat human blood loss is considerably less lucrative than selling it as food to the vampire population. Charles explains that he intends to keep killing people and selling their blood for astronomical sums because people are always willing to pay extra for the real thing. Charles is made human after being tricked into biting Edward by Edward. Edward abandons Charles to the merciless hands of warriors who are about to turn into subduers who are hungry for human blood. When Frankie shows up and offers himself to the soldiers, Edward and Audrey are able to flee. Only 6 troops survive the next feeding frenzy, all of whom have been healed. Christopher shoots the troops and is ready to shoot Edward and Audrey when Cormack kills him with a crossbow while trying to hide the cure. The 3 survivors depart in their car as dawn breaks. Edward says in a voiceover that the treatment will return humanity to the populace. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.